Hi guys, Scott Woodward to talk to you about this incredible game we have in prospect, the Rabbitohs versus the Roosters in a grand final qualifier this Friday night. And look, it really is a grand final come early. The winner of this game will be a short price favourite the following week in the grand final, and I dare say will be winning either against the Penrith Panthers or the Canterbury Bulldogs. But let's talk about this game. The bookmakers are saying that the Rabbitohs are favourite in this game, and you can back them at a minus 1.5 points or 2.5 points, depending on who your bookie is. So they've got the Rabbitohs as a slight favourite. And look, I agree with that. I probably would lengthen it, give the Rabbitohs, make them even shorter than what the bookmakers have. And my reason for that is I think they've got some clear distinctions, and I'll talk about them. Firstly, the main one is that the last 7 premiership winners for the NRL have all had a week off. And that's a massive advantage in the modern game. Rabbitohs have had a week off. The Roosters had to play last week against the Cowboys in extra time, and they were carrying some players in that game with injuries, and they had to have a very long and arduous game. And now they've got to freshen up and prepare in only a week against the Rabbitohs while they've been fresh. One guy who will benefit greatly from that is Sam Burgess, who has been carrying ribs and a hip over the last few weeks. And whatever happens in this game, we know that Sam will be one of the best players on the field. And sadly, whoever loses this game, we're going to lose 1 or 2 of our great players. If the Rabbitohs lose, we won't see Sam Burgess again in the NRL. And if the Roosters lose, we will say goodbye to Sonny Williams and also Anthony Minichiello. The big difference there is that Sam Burgess and Sonny Williams are still world-class players and in great form, and Anthony Minicello is a shadow of his former self. And it's only on reputation and the fact that he's captain in this side that he's actually even going to play. He's certainly been very expensive for the team in the last 2 weeks, cost them having a week off, and he almost cost them defeat last week. So we'll talk about that in a second, but I want to talk about the distinctions that I think the Rabbitohs have got. I talked about the freshness. The last 7 premiership winners have all had a week off. The other thing is that I've got a big concern over the defence of what we saw of the Roosters last week, who are famous for their defence. They won the premiership last year because they are such a wonderful defensive side. And it's very hard to say that I think this team will knock out one of the best teams in the NRL and get into the grand final when they just conceded 5 tries in 21 minutes last week. Let in 30 points in 21 minutes. From the 35th minute to the 56th minute, let in 30 points, and it could have been 36 points had they got the bench of the ball on the bell last week, and Jonathan Thurston's try had it been given. So however you sum that up, it's not very good form coming into this game. I want to say also that I look through the spines and I look at the 6 and 7s, and I think they cancel each other out. I look at the 2 hookers, 2 great hookers, Isaac Luke and Jake Friend, I think they cancel each other out. But I look at the fullbacks, Greg Inglis and Anthony Minicello, and the Rabbitohs have got a monumental advantage there. And look, the last time these 2 teams played, it was a victory to the Roosters, and that was only just a few weeks ago in round 26. The Roosters won 22-8, but it was 3 tries all. But when they played before that in round 1, it was a massive victory to South Sydney, 28 points to 8, and it was 4 tries to 1, and the great Greg Inglis got 3 tries on that occasion. So overall in 2014, Souths have scored 7 tries and the Roosters have scored 4 tries. So I want to talk a little bit about the teams. In round 1, when Souths were so dominant against the Roosters, in that particular game, as dominant as what they were, they didn't have their outstanding backline for that game, and yet they still beat them easy. They didn't have Alex Johnson and Kirasom Ulvar in that side, and Dylan Walker was playing 6. He wasn't playing in the centres. They didn't have Luke Keary. They didn't have Cole Turner, Jason Clark, or Tom Burgess. So this is a significantly stronger side now, the Rabbitohs. And having said that, they beat them 4 tries to 1. So It's certainly very good form. The timing has been very good for the Rabbitohs. They've got all their good players in at the right time, and they've had the week off. It's been absolute perfect preparation for them. Where the Roosters are carrying some guys with some injuries, they could have really done with that week off. And the reason why they didn't have that week off, and it's not fair to put it all on the Minicello, but they had the game won, home and hosed, and they were all set for the week off as minor premiers. And then Mini tried to be a hero and take the ball low to the ground, which is always high risk, and he slid on the wet ground, and the players were able to take him out, and he conceded a try shortly after that, and there you go, the Roosters lost the week off, and that was very, very expensive for them. Some of their players, particularly Boyd Cordner, could have done with that week off. While I'm talking about Anthony Minichiello, I have to point out, and I get no joy in saying this because he's a monument to the game, and he's Roosters' hero. But we have to call it the way we see it. He's made 16 errors in his last 6 games. He's made 5 errors in his last 2 games. In 3 of those 5 errors, he's conceded tries, one of which cost his team, as I said, a week off. And the 2 tries that he got from errors last week almost cost his team victory, and actually getting into this, they almost could have got eliminated. All up, he's made 41 errors for the season, and that's the most errors of any player in any position in the NRL. And it's fair to say that when Mini said, this is it, I'm going to retire, he knew what he was talking about, and he did it for a very good reason. So I think it's a big risk that they play him. I've got no doubt that Roger Tuivasa-Sheck should be playing fullback, but Mini's got a lot of pull in the joint, and the coach loves him, and you have to go with that. Let's all hope that he has a great game. I want to talk a little bit more about the rest of the Rabbitohs side. I've talked about their great backline: Greg Inglis, Johnson, Walker, Ulvar, Lottie Takiri had a great game 2 weeks ago. He plays like that again. His experience will be very invaluable. I have to say, I think he's struggling a little bit in defence, and that's going to be a red flag for the Rabbitohs, but he's a class act, there's no doubt about that. And let's hope that he has a great game, Lottie Takiri. Luke Keary and Adam Reynolds, the jury's still out for me with Luke Keary. I'm not convinced he's not more than a catch and pass guy, but he complements Adam Reynolds very well. And with him there, it gives Adam Reynolds more responsibility, and I think you see a better Adam Reynolds. Adam Reynolds is not as a good a player when John Sutton is alongside of him calling the shots. And he goes into his shell a little bit sometimes, and I think he likes the extra responsibility, Adam Reynolds, and Luke Keary seems to help him in that area. In terms of the forwards, George Burgess and Dave Tyrrell, I'm not a fan of Dave Tyrrell, but the coach obviously likes him. George Burgess is one of the best go-forward guys in the world. Can drop the ball, can have an error, can miss a tackle, but you want him in your side. He's a world-class prop, there's no doubt about that. Cole Turner and John Sutton will be the 2 starting back rowers. They're not my ideal type back rowers, but they're quite good in attack. I've got some question marks on both of them in defence. Sam Burgess will be locked forward, clearly in the top 2 forwards in the world, and the best pommy forward I've ever seen play the game. I hope we see him go around again next week. It's an outstanding bench for both these teams. For the Rabbitohs, Jason Clark, Ben Teo, Chris McQueen, Tom Burgess, outstanding. Tom Burgess, a Pommy international. Ben Teo and Chris McQueen, both Queensland origin players, and Jason Clark, outstanding when he comes on, always shows a lot of energy. For the Roosters, we talked about Mini. The 2 wingers, Tupou and Tuivasa-Sheck, are both in great form. Daniel Tupou keeps surprising me. Keeps getting better and better, and you can't ask any more than that. I'm surprised that the Rabbitohs and other clubs haven't kicked behind him. He's such a tall guy. He doesn't like going down onto the ground, and he has trouble turning around quickly. And I think there's a chance there for Adam Reynolds to kick behind him, Grubber, along the ground. And I think there's an opportunity there against Tupou. The 2 centres, Michael Jennings and Sean Kenny-Dowell, have both been in outstanding form. Sean Kenny-Dowell has thrived under the coach, and he doesn't make as many errors now. He used to be a terrible handler of a ball, but he's just been so dedicated under Robbo, and he should represent New Zealand in the 4 Nations. Michael Jennings also has gone from strength to strength. James Maloney, I thought, had his best game last week, an 82% goal kicker, and he played on both sides last week, which was very good to see, and he's got such great speed. But clearly, he's one of the worst defenders in the NRL, and that will be an opportunity for the Rabbitohs to exploit. Mitchell Pearce, clearly the best halfback in New South Wales, should be an absolute walk-up start for the State of Origin. Be interesting to see what Laurie Daly does there, if he sticks solid like he said he was going to. But I wouldn't even think about it. He would be the first bloke I would pick, Mitchell Pearce, despite the fact that he's never done anything for New South Wales. I don't think they've got a better halfback. It's as simple as that. Pretty easy decision, really. The props, Jared Wairua-Hargreaves and Sam Moa, I much prefer Sam Moa. He hits the ball up 1,000 miles an hour and never makes a mistake, or doesn't make many mistakes, where Jared Wairua-Hargreaves is a mistake freak, gives penalties away, drops balls. There's a massive rap on him, and players love to play with him. Why he's a vice-captain is beyond my comprehension. He may very well be a clever guy off the field, but on a field, he's dumb as anything. And he gives penalties away and drops the ball at crucial times and kills momentum for his team often. And so, look, I think he's got to be there, but I think he's overrated. The backs, Boyd Cordner, I've already touched on the fact that he's playing with an injury. He had an ordinary game last week, which is unlike him, but you know that he'll aim up for this game. It's sudden death, and he's a guy that you want to be in the trenches with, just like you do with Aidan Gira and Sonny Bill Williams. I think they'll swap positions. I'm sure Sonny Bill will play lock for this game so that he can play on both sides of the field. They don't like playing him there because it means that he has to do more tackling, and they like to keep him fresh for his hit-ups and his second phase play. But it's such an important game, and may very well be his last game. I think he'll be wanting to get well and truly into this game. Frank Paul Nuasala, and he's on the bench. He's playing with an injury, but he'll come on and do some good things. Isaac Liu and Dylan Napa. Dylan Napa is important to their configuration, and the very versatile Mitch Orbison in career best form. You know, when he comes on and relieves Jake Friend, that he'll do a great job. The highlight between Jake Friend and Isaac Luke for Rabbitohs will certainly be one of the highlights of the game. Certainly two outstanding but different type hookers in the game. But they're two of the guys that you just know will always have good games, and they just do that every week. So look, there it is for me. Both teams are tremendously even. The backs are even, the forwards are even, the 6 and 7s are even, the 9s are even, the benches are even. As I said, the edge is Greg Inglis over Anthony Minichiello. Greg got 3 tries against the Roosters in round 1, and he's actually due for a big game, Greg Inglis, I have to say. So that's certainly a big edge. The other big edge for the Rabbitohs is the fact that they're so fresh. And also I have a big concern about any team that lets in 30 points in 21 minutes. It's not what you call good form coming into such a crucial game as this. So I have to say, based on all that, I think it'll be the Rabbitohs getting through into the grand final and being short price favourites to win the grand final next week. Look, whichever way it goes, this is certainly going to be an incredible game to watch on Friday night. It's two of our very best teams and some of our all-time great players that are playing in this game, and we're going to say goodbye to one or maybe 2 of them. I'm hoping it's going to be 2 of them because I'm going to be on the Rabbitohs. I think they're nearly good things in this, but I think they'll go on and win the grand final. But good luck, whichever team you're following, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers.